My name is Jason Voiovich, and I'm going to show you how to use time and timing to supercharge your invention or innovative idea. And on today's video, we're going to talk about Labradoodles. So let's get into it now. Specifically, it's more than just Labradoodles. We're going to talk about Speed Combs by Amy Leigh. She is a YouTube dog groomer extraordinaire. She's got a great following, and she created this product as the response to a need. She didn't have anything out there in her arsenal of dog grooming tools that wouldn't get caught in really matted, thick dog hair, and she invented this product to help take care of that issue. So I first became familiar with her on the Invent With Me podcast with Grant Martin. She talked about how she was going overseas to get the product manufactured. It's a great episode on the podcast. I'll link to it in the comments so you can go and learn a little bit more about it. And I'll make sure to link to this website as well. You can see it on the screen. You can find it yourself. But I want to make sure to support the inventors who are doing this really hard work on their own and trying to make a go of it. So my job today is to help Amy go through and figure out how to use the 3 ways to look at time in a way that might help her develop and market this product in the future. So let's get started. The first way we look at time is chronologically. That's the minutes, seconds, hours, days, dates on the calendar. This part is important because we want to make sure we understand when this product is going to be the most popular and the most interesting. I don't own a Labradoodle, but she mentioned that as a particular popular breed that got matted hair and one of the inspirations for this design. So I went ahead and asked Gemini, which are the toughest dog breeds as far as matted hair goes? I didn't know. I don't own a Labradoodle, so I have really no idea what the toughest dogs to groom are. So I came up with an answer, and there were 4 dog breeds that came up. And I'm going to show you this on Google Trends. The Labradoodle, Golden Doodle, Bichon Frise, and Afghan Hounds. Now, there are some others, but these 4 were the 1, 2, 3, 4. And I figured since she mentioned Labradoodles, I was going to focus there and go for other breeds that were related to that. What you're looking at here on the screen is anyone can do this. It's free. Go to trends.google.com and you can add in search terms that make sense. I added those 4 as dog breeds in the United States. That's what this is right here. But you could do that for any country. I looked at 2004 to present so I could really get a long-term trend. What I'm looking for here, this isn't the American Kennel Club and how many dogs are being adopted at any given time. It's the search interest, which is the leading indicator for when someone might go out and adopt a Labradoodle, is highly correlated to the number of times you might search for a Labradoodle on Google. So it's a wealth of information out there, and it's starting to even catch Gemini searches and those AI searches. So this is a really critical resource that a lot of inventors just simply don't know exists. What you see here is from 2004 to present, that's better than 20 years, we see spikes for Labradoodle, a couple of them, really pretty stable. And then around 2015, 2016, we start to see growth, especially in Labradoodles and Golden Doodles. Not so much for Bichon Frises and Afghans. Afghans are they're the green one down here at the bottom. Not much change. But if you notice, Golden Doodle and Labradoodle really spike around the pandemic. This is 2020. And since then, have been trailing off since then. So this is really critical information to know that if these are the breeds that are driving sales and driving interest, that the interest is starting to wane right now. Another key thing to look at here is how does this change state by state? This was the United States, but in your marketing, you may want to get a little bit more granular than that. And what's nice about Google Trends is you can go in and you can search by Texas, California, Minnesota, Florida, whatever state you happen to be in, or where you think the spikes are going to be. What you notice here, and flipping back and forth between the two, is that the overall trend is going down for these 2 breeds, but it is not going down so quickly in Texas for whatever reason. I have no idea why that might be, but it's not. You can start to search state by state, and you can start to figure out where that trend might be going in a different direction. Additionally here, you are going to want to take a look at what other dog breeds might be kind of up and coming. If you know of a particular new breed that no one is talking about right now, but it really struggles with matted fur, make sure to you can set up a tracker for this so that each month you go in and you start to look at where that trend line is going state by state. There's also other great information down here on, specific queries that are growing. Here's a Labradoodle is up a little bit. Labradoodle puppies is up a little bit. Sometimes you find interesting things down here, sometimes you don't. But it's important to get a sense for what people are searching for as leading indicators. What this tells me right here is Labradoodles and Golden Doodles are, it's the Golden Doodle that has really kind of far and away outstripped the Labradoodle, Bichon Frise, and Afghan Hound as the most popular. So if you're going to focus on anything, what do we do with this information? We focus on Golden Doodle in our marketing first, maybe Labradoodle second. So again, really clear information here can help us give us very specific marketing instruction on what we might do. So the second thing that I thought about from a chronological time perspective is, well, when do people adopt dogs? That's going to trigger an entire sequence, and we'll talk about sequential time next, but it triggers that entire sequence where I need to figure out where to get a vet, where do I buy food, where's the dog park, where do I find a pet groomer, especially if I know that I'm going to be getting a dog that's going to need that. So thank goodness for AI. I took a look at, well, when were those times? What makes the most sense? And what the AI overview says here is dog adoptions generally peak in late spring and summer when warmer weather and school vacations give families more time to bond and potty train outdoors. And then there's another spike in December. What I found interesting here as well is this one, which is the Adopt a Shelter Dog Month. Now, that might not be quite as impactful for Labradoodles or other pure breeds or kind of mixed breeds like that. But again, it's something where you're going to be thinking about when are those times when more dogs are likely to be adopted. Because once you've found a groomer, once you've started that sequence, it is going to be a lot more difficult to change it once it's started. What do we do with that information? Well, most of the time in marketing, we want to build a consistent budget over time. And yes, absolutely you want to do that, but when matters. So if you have a limited budget, let's say you had $100 to spread out through the entire year, you might want to lower that entire per month budget so that during maybe May, June, and August, you can, what they call in the business, heavy up, meaning you're going to advertise more during that time. Maybe you market a little bit more during December and January, although that can be really expensive to market during that time because all the fees go up, all your pay-per-click ad prices go up. But maybe September and October is another place where you can have a little spike and then take it down in February, March, April, some of those kind of middle months in the winter where your advertising dollars just aren't going to be going as far. I would never take that to zero, but I certainly would focus and heavy up my attention during the times when I know that more people are going to be adopting dogs. Let's move on to sequential time. Sequential time is pretty easy to understand as well, but it's a very different way to look at time. Sequential time simply refers to the step-by-step process that after winter, there's spring, after spring, there's summer, after summer, there's fall, or drinks come before the salad comes before the main meal comes before dessert. You get the idea. We don't tend to think about time that way, but it is a critical way that impacts the innovation process because that's how people behave in predictable patterns. So let's think a little bit about how this relates to dog groomers for the primary buyer. Now, anyone can buy this, hook it onto a standard Wall or Oster clippers, but it's really dog groomers who are the key users of this product. What I looked at is, okay, the big thing I'm going to be thinking about as a dog groomer is not only the existing base of dog groomers, but all of the new ones as well. So anytime anyone comes up with a new business, they're going to need to go register with their Secretary of State, and they're going to register under this. It's called a NAICS code. It's the National American Industrial Classification System. That's what that stands for. It used to be called the SIC code, SIC, Standard Industrial Classification. The North American one is a little broader, a little more granular. You don't really need to know about that, but you do need to know your key customer's NAICS code. And in this case, it's 812910. Two ways to think about this. You can take a look at this from the overall market, and you can purchase a list of these companies. There's even a way to purchase that right there, but there's lots of places to do that. You can either purchase the full list, but what's more important from a sequential point of view is when new businesses get up and running. So if I'm going to start a dog grooming business in whatever state, I need to go to the Secretary of State's office. Here is in my home state of Florida. You go to sunbiz.org, and you can go in and you can start the new business, and you can also search for those businesses. Now, most of the time, these NAICS code business, about 10 cents per record for a mailing record, telemarketing. Sometimes you can get email and other detail in here. There are lots of list sources, by the way. But what I would recommend is thinking about the new businesses. The new groomer is going to be looking to invest in new tools. They're starting up a business. They are ripe for that kind of pitch and for them to learn about something new. Obviously, you hope that they've learned about it before then. They've seen your YouTube channel, but you can't really bank on that. You have to think about reaching people when they are getting started with their business. It's critical. And if you've launched your own business at any time, you probably know that you've gotten a flood of new things in the mail and via email and phone calls right when you start up a new business. That's exactly what's going on here. People know that you're ready to intake new information. And this is a critical way for Amy to think about building kind of a month-by-month standard thing where she goes and buys all of the new records and sends a postcard or maybe a coupon to all of those new folks. So that's what you do with that information. Every time we think about time and timing, it's all about what action you take at the right time. So you want to make sure that you're not mailing to someone when they're not really interested. You're trying to find that moment in time in their sequence where now is the right time to inject your marketing messaging. Last one, let's think about perceptual time. This one is different, and I want to go back to Amy's photo here because what's really interesting about this process is think about the user journey. And in this case, not just the groomer, but the dog's experience during the grooming process. If the dog has really matted hair and it's snarled and they're not being groomed really well at home or brushed, they go into the groomer and the experience is really hard because either they're not using the right tools, they haven't bought Amy's speed comb yet, or the dog is just really struggling. They have a lot of anxiety. It hurts. I mean, imagine getting your hair pulled every time that clipper goes in. I use the clipper on my hair, and I can tell you when it grabs, it hurts. And imagine that for the dog where they just don't understand what's happening. And think about all that anxiety during the process for the dog, the anxiety for the groomer, and think about when family comes to pick up the dog, that the dog isn't relaxed and happy. The dog is anxious and doesn't want to go back. That's not a great experience. But think about what Amy's product does. It's got a skip tooth design, so it works a lot faster and it's a lot easier on the dog. But the experience afterwards, and I've seen some of her videos where it's just such a happier, calmer sort of experience. So perceptual time is all about moments. It's all about thinking about that moment in time that's transformative. Those few minutes where you really get a sense for what this all meant and what it all matters. Perceptual time is the most potent way we think about time. If we can create that moment, we've created a sale. So Yes, speed combs is an excellent name for the product. It's functional, it does exactly what it says it can do, but the experience, the moment we're creating is a moment of tranquility. It's a moment of calm. So let's think a little bit about what calm means. And I'm just pulling up Merriam-Webster's did a thesaurus on calm. We've got quiet and tranquil and serene and peaceful. Some of these words may not be right, but I think they're on a different path for what exactly the experience is we're trying to create. So is calm maybe the better way to think about the experience, the real benefit that we're trying to create here? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. But with these three ways to think about time, we have really tangible, actionable ways to think about our go-to-market strategy in a constructive way that maybe we didn't think about in the same way before. So that's it for today. I hope you understand a little bit more about how to apply the three aspects of time and timing, chronological, sequential, and perceptual, to your invention or innovative idea. If you've got an idea for an invention or innovation that you'd like me to give this same treatment to, post a link in the comments or post a description in there, and I'll handle it in a future video. I'll see you on the next one.